the T20 team of the year. Always the most difficult to pick, but often the most interesting to pick because there's so many T20 tournaments going on around the year. Which numbers do you look at? Who do you pick? Eventually it comes down to personal choices as well, as happens with every team that you pick. So I've looked at performances as usual only in 22, but I've prioritized T20 internationals and then the best leagues in the world. I've looked at the IPL, of course, the PSL, the 100. You cannot keep looking at numbers of all the leagues around the world. So with that in mind, this is how we start. When I started doing this, I thought, gee, this is going to be difficult. And without looking at numbers, I just closed my eyes and picked some names. And I found that the numbers tallied. 7 out of the 11 players in this team that I've picked, I could have picked without looking at the numbers. Number 1 picks himself. You don't even have to look beyond Jos Buttler. Jos Buttler had a fabulous T20I season, finished the World Cup in style, scored 400s, 850 plus runs in the IPL. Strike rate's always fantastic, carries teams as he goes along. Why am I even talking beyond all this? Jos Buttler is my number 1 opening batsman. Now the second opening batsman, and there were 2 names that sprung up at you, and then you had to look at the numbers carefully. The first, of course, was Mohammad Rizwan. You look at Rizwan and he piles a mountain of runs every year. You look at batting average and you go, wow, who has a batting average of 50 in T20 cricket? But you always look at the average in conjunction with the strike rate. If your average is high and your strike rate is low, you're not actually doing a great job for your team. Rizwan is fantastic for Pakistan because he's got a great bowling lineup that's winning him games so often. Then I looked at Alex Hales. I looked at T20I numbers, 30 and 145. He scored runs everywhere. I looked at PSL especially. It's a wonderful bowlers tournament. If you can go and score big runs there, that's fantastic. He made 1,700 runs, very high average, very high strike rate. You really could not look beyond Alex Hales. So my openers are Buttler and Hales. Time to look at number 3 then. And you think of number 3 and you think of Virat Kohli, right? And you think of that innings. You don't need to say too much more than that innings. Came into his own later in the season. Had an IPL to forget, as we know very well, so we had to look beyond him. David Malan had some pretty good numbers. Glenn Phillips is always around there, maybe a little lower down the order, but Glenn Phillips is always around there. And then you look at Riley Russo, you look at his T20I numbers, you look at his PSL numbers, consistently averaging mid-40s, consistently looking at a strike rate of high 160s, nudging 170. I was particularly impressed with the PSL number. That's a very good bowling tournament, so if you score runs there, they're valuable. Even T20Is, he came to India, he played some fantastic innings, and I think Riley Russo marches into that side at number 3. Number 4, Buttler at 1, Sky at 4. I don't think we need to debate that at all. Surya Kumar Yadav took middle order batting to another level. Strike rate of 180. You know, every time Sky came into bat this year, we would stop what we were doing. Whether I was at home or whether I was in the commentary box, we would stop what we were doing and we'd just look and say, where is the next audacious shot coming from? And he's just redefined T20 batting by hitting the ball into areas that the bat is not supposed to send balls to. So Surya Kumar Yadav at number 4. On to number 5. Now number 5 is an interesting position because you've got to be a 2-in-1 player, much like number 4. But number 5, greater finishing skills, but sometimes you're coming in the 8th, 9th over. So I'm looking for those kind of players. There were 2 contenders for number 5. You look at Tim David and his strike rate was just astonishing. But he didn't have the long, substantial innings that a number 5 is sometimes required to play. And I thought not enough experience in T20 internationals. I mean, I only said Tim David because I wanted to give a justification for picking David Miller. But otherwise, David Miller just picks himself. David Miller's in the last 2 or 3 years in internationals and this year in the IPL just being the backbone of that Gujarat Titans side as they marched to that IPL win was just fantastic to see. So David Miller at number 5. I'm not expecting too many big bats coming my way for looking at David Miller. So there you are. I've got my top 5. It's a very powerful top 5. And now as you're looking at the all-rounders, typically number 6 have got to be 1 seam bowling all-rounder, 1 spin bowling all-rounder, a spinner who bats. You're looking at those kind of players to form the balance of the side. Inevitably, you think number 6 and you think Andre Russell. I'm not very certain of Andre Russell. He played cameos this year. He played a little bit here. He played a little bit there. But I thought the standout all-rounder, seam bowling all-rounder in world cricket this year was Hardik Pandya. I'm not even looking at his captaincy of the Gujarat Titans, but the fact that he was scoring runs at a strike rate of 140 plus in T20Is, a little down in IPL where he was playing different roles, but he also took 20 wickets at a very decent economy rate for a 6th bowler. Forget the numbers, just the style, the approach was just crying out for Hardik Pandya. So Pandya is my number 6. At number 7, I've got the best spin bowling all-rounder playing in world cricket. He walks into the side for his leg spin bowling alone. For his national team, he actually makes the team as a batter alone. And I'm looking at Shadab Khan. Brilliant in the field, does everything you want of him. He'll bowl in the power play if you want. Increasingly started bowling in the death and just produced match-changing innings with the bat. The only other option was Moeen Ali. But Moeen doesn't bowl as much. He's not a 4-over bank. And I think he's more of a top-order batter than down at 7. So it's quite easy. picking Shadab Khan. So Hardik and Shadab, I'm starting to see a very, very good T20 team coming together. Now at number 8 is where the big debate is going to be. I've picked a second leg spinner because it doesn't matter. If your second spinner is a leggy or a finger spinner, you don't have to worry about that. But even in the realm of leg spin, there are so many. Wanindu Hasaranga had a fantastic year. Then there's Sunil Narayan. He's always around. Sunil Narayan's always picking up wickets, scoring runs. Chahal had a decent season. You're looking around, but really it came down to Wanindu Hasaranga and Rashid Khan. Now, there are different stages in their career. Every time Rashid Khan comes in, you're saying, okay, let me play him out. Let me not give him too many wickets. He's not taking as many wickets maybe as Hasaranga on a per-game basis, but it's Rashid Khan indeed, isn't it? So, it's one of those decisions that you go with your instinct, you go with your gut, you go with just what you think is right. If you pick Wanindu Hasaranga, I won't have a bone to pick, but I'm going with Rashid Khan as my number 8. Now, we're done with our spinners, we're done with our all-rounders. Who are the 3 quicks to finish this side? Somebody who can bowl up at the top, somebody who can bowl through the middle maybe, and I want a very good death bowler. So that's what I've looked at in my 3 quicks. I actually found someone who can come in as an all-rounder to bat at 9. He hasn't batted a lot, but should you require someone to hit 10 in 3, is perfectly capable of doing that. Not the fastest of bowlers, swings the ball, but at the T20 World Cup just reinvented himself fantastically as a death bowler. He started to do that in England, but he did that on the biggest stage of all. And you looked at Sam Curran and you said, really, can he keep it going? Can he keep it going? And he did. Player of the match, player of the tournament. He had a fantastic season. Sam Curran is my number 9. He's also left-handed, which is a big plus, but he gives me death bowling. Then I wanted someone who'll take wickets at the top. And there is no better power play bowler in the world, fit or otherwise, than Shaheen Shah Afridi. His strike rate in his first spell is just otherworldly. So Shaheen Shah Afridi is my number 10. He can bat a little bit too, but that doesn't matter. But he will give me wickets up front. He tends to tail off, doesn't he? When he comes back in the death, he's a very good death bowler. His economy rate is still very good, don't get me wrong. But sometimes he can just be touch expensive. I'm looking to Shaheen Shah Afridi to get me wickets right at the top. That leaves me with number 11. Arshdeep Singh had a wonderful season. But I'm thinking I've got 2 left-handers already. I wanted a little extra pace, given that I didn't get that with Sam Curran and neither with Shaheen Afridi, who's quick but not quite there. Wanted someone who can be a bit of an enforcer, give me an over or 2 at the death, come hard maybe just after the power play. I know you remember him for those 2 balls in a crucial game, but I think day in, day out, I don't think there's a lot of competition for Haris Rauf to be my number 11. He can still swing his bat, as I said, but that's not important. But I've got the right-hander, I've got the extra pace, and I've got someone who most days is a very, very good death bowler. So that completes my 11. Tell me what you think of it.